Γεια σας. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Μιλάτε όλοι αγγλικά ή μιλάω ελληνικά? Αν μιλάω ελληνικά είναι λίγο πιο δύσκολο για μένα, αλλά μπορώ. Κάνω κάτι τα γελάτε. Otherwise, I speak English, if I can speak English. Okay, I speak English. So, I'm here to speak about, as far as I know, because it's a vast argument, what is the philosophy of yoga, what yoga means. Because today, we see yoga everywhere. Yoga has become a brand name. With yoga, they sell cars, they sell computers. They made a computer now, a company that is called yoga. So people get a little bit confused about yoga in West. Yoga, the words, has a meaning. It comes from Sanskrit language. It is yug. Yug means to put together, enose. So, what we want to put together and why? The question is very ancient. Human beings at one point, they realized that something was not connected in us. There was something separated. The separation is between what I think and what I feel. So yoga is the attempt to put together the thinking process with the feeling process. We are very, very used nowadays, because we have gone very far, to think that only thinking by something, we are experiencing that thing. I give a practical example. I can have eaten an apple and you not. So I can come to you and say, okay, now I will explain to you what the apple is. And I will tell you the apple is a fruit, it's xenoblicon, it's a red fruit and with some spots. The taste, it can be similar to a pear, but it's not exactly a pear. Then I give you a book, and then you study the book, and then you become an expert on apples. And you go around and teach other people about apples, but you never eat an apple. So until you don't eat an apple, you don't have the experience of the apple. You don't know anything about it. And because humans, there's a lot of thinking process going on. We think about life. We imagine life. But rarely we experience in the same moment we are living life, what we're doing. If you look at yourself, many times, we see something and we start to analyze that thing. Oh, beautiful sunset. It reminds me of the sunset that I saw 2 years ago in Santorini. Or we are eating with somebody and we start to compare the taste we are eating in that moment with something that's similar and so on. In this way, we are separated from reality. Reality is only now, in this precise moment. And every now is a precise moment. In ancient Greek, they had a lot of philosophers emphasizing a lot in this moment. How to reach now. Yoga is about this. Yoga is an attempt to work on yourself, to come to live what you experience now in this precise moment. It's an ancient science, has thousands of years. And it starts practically with the physical body. It's a good door to enter into yoga because it's something we experience everybody. We experience pain if we do this. If I stretch one arm, I know I stretch one arm. From more subtle things that we are inside, that is the continuation of yoga. We need before to start to live easily. So the first component is physical. And here Western philosophy and Western way of thinking has made a big, trap. Because we live in West according to senses. Our society is based on senses, to sense things. We give a lot of importance to the body, maybe too much importance. So the yoga we practice in West has a lot to do with the physical body. We practice practical exercises. I remember when I first met a real yogi in my life. He was 90 years old. And he started to tell us about yoga. And at one point he expressed this concept. Say, yoga is to go on top of Everest, let's say. That is the aim of this science. Asana and pranayama is the training you do before you go to the mountain. You train to be able to go on top of the mountain. So training is needed, but it's not the end of the trip. In the West, many times, we think that doing all the postures and my feet on top of the head and so on, that is a consequences of a lot of practice, is the aim of yoga. That is only the path. The path in which you have to know exactly what you do. Because humans tried to find out if there was something behind senses. The proof of consciousness, or what we call soul, is the fact that behind senses, I still am. So they tried to go in non-physiological postures and to see if they can detach, they could detach from that sensation with breath and with something that normally the nervous system doesn't do. If I put myself in a difficult situation, then my body starts to contract and my breath starts to shorten to take me out of the situation. Yoga starts there, where you try not to contract and when you try to expand your breath. And you work with your consciousness, not with your body. You leave the body there. The only thing you don't do, you don't compete with yourself. It's not a competition, it's not a race, like many times we take it. It's just to see if you can change your state of mind. The transliteration of asana, that everybody knows this name more or less today, yoga posture, is a comfortable posture that you can hold for a long period of time. And to do that, you have to change your internal perspective when you practice yoga. And that is the interesting part of yoga, because when you learn to do that with the body, then they have a second step, that is pranayama, to work with breath. Breath is much more related with emotions, much more subtle. The body is easier. I have pain in the knee, I know. I can move and little bit release the pain or to go through the pain. I can do it practically. With emotion it's a little bit different, because normally when an emotion arises, I don't know too much what to do, especially us in West. Normally here we go to doctor. When something happens like this, we don't deal with it. Nobody teaches us what to do. Simply like this. Yogi understands that breath is very much related to emotions. And it's practical, this. Everybody knows. I mean, if you are feared, you stop breathing. You breathe very shallow if you are tense. This is a very ancient root. When we were living in forests, and we were not predators, we were the one that were predated from Antarctica. In such a situation, with an Arctic crocodile, you have to don't make any noise. And so you start to, you don't move, you don't breathe. Because if you do this, the tiger in a cave does a fire. You see the next dick, the next dog, these are ancient reflexes. Then another thing is when you feel very good in love, you do this kind of, you take a lot of air, you are relaxed, you open your chest. So they start to study these reactions. And again, they went in a condition that was not physiological and was very near to an instinct that is the instinct of life. That is called kumbhaka, when they stop breathing. And why they stopped breathing? They did this and stay for a long time. They could stay many minutes. In that condition, there is an andidrasi, a reaction of the body that is much more subtle than the reaction of the body when you do a posture. And it's much more fine. There is a fear. Your palmi start to go faster at one point if you're feared. Your thoughts can become very hermetic. You experience emotions. It's an emotion. You want to breathe. You want to leave. You don't want to stop breathing. Okay? In that situation, they try to calm down, to completely relax, to change the hormonal pattern of the body, because you can do this. You can really do it with training. This to dominate emotions, and in a way to start to dominate the mind. Because our problem, main problem as humans, is that we are dominated by the mind. If you look at our lives, we do every kind of things, not to deal too much with what is going on inside. we go shopping, we compensate a lot. We smoke, we drink, we talk a lot. But when we are alone with ourselves, silence, or close your eyes and look inside, you see a lot of turbulences. Every student of the meditation in West has experienced this. They sit down, they close their eyes, they read the book, meditation is beautiful, and da-da-da. You close your eyes, and you cannot stay. You're driven crazy. Your mind takes every kind of reaction to take you out. You start even itching sometimes. You say, there are nothing in the room, but you start moving everywhere. This is the craziness we have inside. So, with the breath control, you try to deal with this practice. You choose to do that. This is very important to understand. It's a conscious choice. And it's something you have to do alone. You cannot rely on somebody else when you practice yoga. You are trying to find who you really are. At least what is going on inside of you. Practically, yoga is very practice. All the yoga philosophy, I can speak here for hours about, I will not speak for hours, but about Ida, Pingala, Shushumna Nadi, Kundalini emergence, but these are the results of practices. In West, we tend to theorize, to make a theory of everything. I know people that they know everything about yoga, but they never sit 8 hours on a row. And that is vipassana. I mean, to take one day, you sit down. You don't do nothing. You just look at yourself. And many people know everything about this, but then the moment we want to do, we go somewhere else. We decide. I remember the first seminar I did here in Greece, it was 3-4 years ago, and I put a program and we had to wake up at 4:30 in the morning. And I had very people that want to come here. They want to do yoga. And I asked them to wake up at that hour to do a meditation before the sunrise. And everybody came to me and said, but why? Cannot we do this at 10 o'clock in the morning? And no, you have to do it at 4:30, but why not? Because again, it's your mind that wants to wake up at 10 o'clock. It's your mind that makes this theory that if you wake up at 4:30 it's a tragedy. That you wake up at 4:30, you'll be nervous all day. If you wake up at 4:30, you cannot sleep. You have to sleep all day later. It's not true. You prove this by doing this. So again, to go back to pranayama. With pranayama, they start to control emotion, at least to see the emotions. Okay? But why they did this? Because mind has one aspect, human mind, that is very interesting. It's self-consciousness. I am self-conscious. I can say I am. But theoretically, I am self-conscious. Practically, I don't perceive completely myself. I don't see completely myself. And why I don't see completely myself? Because when I look inside of me, the mind that we have said before, it's very, very confused. It's confusing because it's moved too fast. It's like a surface of water where there is a lot of wind and waves. And I try to see myself. I cannot see myself. I see only little reflection. I get confused. So the attempt of yoga is to make this mind completely flat. No more waves. They call the waves vritti. When in the minds there are no more vrittis, you have the chance to see yourself. You look and you see. It's a reflection. You see the reflection, actually, because you cannot see yourself. And it can be expressed even in another way. Imagine you lived in a world where there are no mirrors, where there were no glasses, where there were no calm waters to see your image. Would you know yourself? Would you know the shape of your face? You give for granted this, because you live in a world where you have somewhere to reflect. But imagine a world where there were no mirror, no calm water, nothing. You would not see your physical appearance. For the interior appearance is the same. The problem is that the only mirror you have is inside of you, and is the mind. So, the attempt of yoga is to make this mind completely calm. And we go back now to the beginning. For Western people, this is very difficult. Because we never have been trained to look inside of us. Really, if you think about nothing. We learn everything from books. We learn everything from outside. We have learned to do things. maybe with our hands, we are very good, but it's something that is outside of me. Nobody at school, nobody at home, nobody told you how to look inside of you. Do you agree? Because you look at me like I'm saying strange things. So, in West, there is this problem that we have a lot of embassy. And the embassy we have, it goes a lot in the body. It stays in the body. Because we have a part of ourselves that is emotional. 2 minutes. A part of ourselves that is emotional. Emotions has to do, again, with physical body and thoughts. So, for us, it's very important, not very important, in the beginning, if you want to practice yoga, to practice the physical part very well, to get out the endlessly from the body, but to know from the beginning that that is only a therapy. It's not the aim of yoga. Then, when you will not be, because φορτώσουμε με το μυαλό, είμαι όλο μέλος in the γραφείο, I work, I do a lot of this, and then I need to take out this energy in a way, to make the two levels balanced. But then, when the two levels are balanced, you can start to practice yoga. Before, it was only a preparation, because you could not sit down and look inside of you. You cannot sit down and feel your breath. You will think of 1,000 things, but not feeling yourself. And another little thing I want to say. Today we all speak about cures. We all speak and look about how to get well when we are sick. Little of us speak how to stay well, how to stay healthy, how to not get sick from the beginning. What is a common, beautiful sense of life in which I would live without sickness, or at least as less as possible? And yoga has to do with these two. It has to do with sensitivity you develop in yourself, not to pollute yourself. To feel that if you eat plastic, this is affecting you. Not you do it because they told you the French fries of, I don't know, I don't want to say names, but the French fries of this magazine είναι χάλια. Αλλά εσύ πας, τα φτρως και σου αρέσει και όλα και μετά 3 ώρες είσαι χάλια, αλλά δεν το βάζει πολύ μαζί και αυτό σου έκανε χάλια. Γι' αυτό πρίζουν τα πόδια. Γι' αυτό δεν μπορείς να περπατάς. Το λες εντάξει. Περνάει. You have to go back to normal things. Feel bad, know that this thing is making you feel bad, stop it. Don't do it again. There are other things that make you feel better. But do you realize that with these things you feel better and the other things you feel worse? No, you get used to it. And this is the risk of human being, because we are very adaptable. We have been able to go from Africa to North Pole to live. And we adapted. So if you, in 10 years, change your lifestyle, and then you think that it's normal not to walk 10 stairs, or if you do the bed, you have pain everywhere, and you think that this is normal, you adapt to this and you continue this lifestyle that will keep you there. So yoga is a chance to become more sensitive and to physiologically, without restriction, choose another way of life. Not because you think it's good, but because you feel it's good. And I think today this is very important, to feel. Not to think because the doctors say or the others say, you feel that it's good. Okay, I have no more time. Thank you for your attention.